Welcome back to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Let's take a look at this expedition and see how the guys did. Here we go. Alright, so pretty basic, if I'm honest, but there you go. That's how the dailies do. So getting back into it. Here we are, back on the spirit board. First of all, we're going to see Reshiram. Well, we're not just going to see him, we're going to battle him. And hopefully, take his spirit. So, Reshiram is the mascot Pokemon of Pokemon Black. I know you'd think it's Pokemon White, but Pokemon Black and White had a yin-yang thing going on where basically there are two legendary dragons of Unova, two major ones. They are Reshiram and Zekrom, both of which came from the Pokemon Kyurem when it crash-landed onto Earth. And Reshiram is hailed as the, I guess you could call him the god of ideals, and Zekrom the god of truth. And the two of them are constantly fighting because it's a metaphor for ideology. Anyway, the cool thing is that the person who ends up getting Reshiram in Pokemon Black version is you, the player, but the person who gets Zekrom, the black one, is your main opponent, your main villain, N, which is a slight hint to the fact that N could be the true hero of the game. Yeah, that's complicated, but I think I got it across nicely. So anyway, there's our Reshiram. Very nice. Alrighty, boosts your fire attack, which makes sense. It's a fire and dragon type Pokemon. And, ooh. Alright, that is what I was hoping for. The more we do spirit battles, the more spaces we get. Lovely stuff. Alright, back into Pokemon Black and White. I can't get enough of Gen 5 today. Here is Zoroark. Zoroark is something of a mascot for Gen 5. I think it was meant to be Gen 5's take on the otherwise very popular Lucario. Right down to it having a film somewhat based around it. But I don't think it hit off as well as Lucario did. I think it's been a little more forgotten in more recent years, which is a shame because it has a cool gimmick. Zoroark has an ability called Illusion, and the whole idea of him as a design is he's meant to be kind of like an illusory Tanuki type. So what you do is you, when you first send it into battle, it comes in disguised as another member of your Pokemon team. And before Gen 6, where you actually got to see your opponent's party, which kind of ruins the meta, I feel, yeah, Zoroark was boss because there'd be so many situations where you attack what you think is, I don't know, a psychic type, and then it's not very effective, and why isn't it very effective? And then it reveals itself to you. It's right there. It was Zoroark all along. Anyway, to represent Zoroark's illusions, we have 3 shadowy clones there, all of which are Lucario. And we have the real Zoroark there, Wolf. As well as actual Zoroark there, who's also causing me some grief. But thankfully, a couple of baps later, and we should be able to finish this sucker off. Boosh! There we go. And that is Zoroark, the illusion Pokemon. Nice easy shot as well. And nothing special about Zoroark there. Oh boy, this one's interesting. Fire attack. This is the one that got censored, outraging a bunch of internet chuds. Essentially, the angry little fellow with the torch you're seeing there was a Native American. He had a little feather on the back of his head. It was meant to be a cowboys and Indians type of deal, which doesn't really fly in the modern day. So, yeah, that was a relic of its time, much like Mr. Game & Watch himself. And speaking of Game & Watches, I'm one of the few people in the world who, despite being a millennial, despite being relatively young, actually got to play a Game & Watch game. I had a game called Game Boy Gallery for the Game Boy. It was neat. Anyway, next up we have Kirby with his Robobot armor from Kirby Planet Robobot. A game where Popstar, Kirby's planet, is invaded by a bunch of mechanical foes. And in order to defeat them, Kirby mans a goddamn mech. And if there's one character who absolutely needed a mech in his series, it is Kirby. It is so good. Robobot is debatably the best Kirby game. But as for those Kirbys themselves, they went down like a sack of shit. Also drills. There are drills there because Kirby has the drill that will pierce the heavens. And there we are. Next up is Tamagon. This one's interesting. Tamagon is the protagonist of an NES game called Devil World. A game that I don't get how it happens. What with 80s Nintendo being so terrified of touching anything religious. In Devil World, you played as a little green dragon named Tamagon, who would basically run around a maze, collecting Bibles and crosses in order to defeat the devil. And to represent that, we have the Green Ridley, who is playing Tamagon, as well as Richter, the Castlevania protagonist, who is throwing holy crosses. By the power of Jesus. And that is Tamagon, the most holy, one of the most holy of the spirits, I guess. Still not quite sure what he is. Anyway, next up is Leo. Another character from Fire Emblem Fates, one of the few Fire Emblem games I have not played. Leo is a Dark Knight, and whether he is a hero or a villain is decided on what route you take, what with Fates having the whole you choose which faction you join. Leo's whole gimmick in this battle, aside from the heavy gravity, which is a bastard, is the fact that he can slowly steal your health by hitting you. That makes sense, because Dark Knights have an ability named Life Taker when they get to a high level. Level 20, I believe. And it allows them to just steal health from their opponents. So, hell to the yes. And, oh, you fucker. He is proving quite challenging. Because much like Garneth from before, he just steals your health as you go. Those damn sorcerers and dark mages, they love stealing health. All I need to do is, like, just keep myself on the platforms, because I know full well that going off the edge is instant death in this battle. And I just need to stave him off. Rack up that damage, stave him off, and get the final kill. Fuck! Okay, that could have been bad. If that explosion didn't propel me enough, I would have fallen into the abyss there. Alright, there we go. That is Leo. He's got a fast one. I'll slow it down a bit. Come on. Here we go. Whew, alright, that's still... After the sheer amount I've done, that is still really tense. Whew. Okay, next up we have Sigurd. Sigurd is the protagonist of the 4th Fire Emblem game, Genealogy of the Holy War, a game that was split into 2 halves, the first half being about 1 generation, and the second half being about another generation. Kind of like Awakening's whole gimmick, but without time travel, so yeah. Anyway, Sigurd is the first Fire Emblem Lord who is able to use both a sword and also a lance. I believe he's also the first who could ride on a horse when promoted, so... yeah, that is being represented here by Ike, who has a very big sword. As a nice mix of a sword and a lance. His defense is also increasing, because Sigurd had some beastly defense gains. He was one of the tankier Fire Emblem Lords, so yeah. Boosh. Hammer to the crotch. No amount of defense will save you there. Got him. Okay, so the next one I can see in the scrubber is once again from Mother 3, one of the most important games that I have not played. However, this level kind of speaks for itself, and it's also really... it's one of the few spirit battles that I think is a little bit tasteless, given its whole origin. Flint is Lucas's father, well, Klaus's father as well, the father of the two boys, the husband of the titular mother. And you'll see that this is a nice idyllic level that is currently on fire. That is to represent the forest fire that takes place in Mother 3. That kicks off the plot and, yeah, leads to quite a dour experience overall. So yeah, that's that. You'll also notice that Lucas's coloration there means he's basically Klaus. He's Lucas's brother, so yeah. The very same brother who goes on a quest for revenge after his mother is killed during the events of the forest fire. I just need to take him out now. It's just the goddamn fire means I can't get decent footing. Nor can I get an opportunity to attack him. There we are. Come on. Just one clean hit will do it. One clean hit. I'm not losing to Klaus. I swear to God. There we are. Got him. Alrighty, so let's get ourselves a cowboy. Boom. Video games need more cowboys. Just in general. Next battle is against Great Tiger from Punch-Out! Great Tiger is one of the boxes you have to take down whilst on your boxing circuit. And he hails, I believe, from India. And his whole gimmick is that he can create shadow clones of himself, which are actually tangible while he boxes you. So not only do you have to dodge and punch him, you have to be extra cautious of the shadow clones. So to represent him, we have Incineroar, the most tiger-like character who would be seen in a ring, what with him being a wrestler. And his two shadow clones. That's Great Tiger for you. Good thing about this level is you can boot enemies off the edge, making it easier overall to take out everyone else. And defeated. There we go. After this episode, I'll start cutting out that minigame because I think you get the point. Alright, next up we have Big Urchin. This is a big puffy enemy from the new Super Mario Bros. Games. This is one of the most self-explanatory spirits. It's being played by Jigglypuff, a balloon Pokemon. So that's our big puffy boy for you. And in spite of being very big, Jigglypuff is still super light and still very easy to punk. So all we need to do is get a couple of clean hits and land one good smash attack. Also, don't attack those urchins. If you attack them, then they become free game and anyone can get hurt by them. Fuck. You know what? I'm going to play into this battle's whole gimmick. I'm just going to interact with all the urchins. I'm going to activate all the urchins and wait for this Jigglypuff to off itself with the spikes. There we go. Spikes everywhere. It's weird that that wasn't like a water-themed level, because I'm pretty sure the big urchins only appear in water, but giving it more thought, the only watery level, I guess, is Electroplankton. Probably not a good fit. Anyway, the Groose is loose! This is Groose, the character from Zelda Skyward Sword, who starts off as your... well, I don't know what else to call him other than a 90s bully, which is kind of what he is. And over time, he becomes your ally. This particular battle is based on his invention, the Groosinator, which is a massive trebuchet. Just a huge-ass catapult, which can be used to launch explosions, as well as Link himself for fast travel purposes. So here we have a battle with a lot of jumping and a lot of explosions, all things that Groose is good at. He's also being played by Wario, who, you know, could also arguably be someone who started off antagonistic and then became more, you know, not friendly, but less evil over time. Anyway, that is the Groose. Officially loose. There he is. Also that pompadour, though. That very good hair. Love that red hair. Alright, our next one is Satoru. I'm gonna butcher Japanese names, I apologize. Satoru Amatsubo. Yeah, that seems right. And he is from a DS point-and-click adventure game. Project Hacker, or Hackerman, whatever it's called. Whatever it said just now. He's a hacker. It's an adventure game where you do hacking, so... We have him played by Shulk, whose weapon is arguably mechanical in nature, what with its different modes. And a bunch of Mega Men, a bunch of robots. Those are the robots that have been hacked, assumingly, so yeah. I will say there are a lot of, like, one-note spirits in this game from obscure DS games, obscure DS IPs, and it really does highlight just how many unique games that system had. Like, the 3DS, you could argue, kinda went back to basics with the Marios and the Zeldas and the major AAA games, but there are a lot of experimental DS games. That's why that platform is so well known for starting a lot of cool franchises like Phoenix Wright, but also containing a shitload of shovelware. They really did just throw everything at the wall with the DS just to see what would stick. But you know what? I'm okay with that, because, you know, that was back in the day where I would buy my Nintendo magazines to find out which games were the good ones, and I could overlook most of the shovelware. And I'll tell you what, this one goddamn Mega Man is proving annoying, so get out. I was waffling about the DS for far too long there. And that is our hacker. A miserable creature of flesh and bone. Alright, so next up we have Kyurem. I mentioned Kyurem at the beginning of this episode. Kyurem is the third of the Dragon Trilogy in Pokemon Black and White. It doesn't really tie into the plot until Pokemon Black and White 2, where it fulfills the gimmick of fusing with either Reshiram or Zekrom to create a, to create 2/3 of its original form. So far, the original version of Kyurem has not yet been, hasn't been seen. That Nana just scrubbed it real hard. And, you know what? I kind of like the gimmick of this battle. Kyurem is a big icy dragon. In Black and White 2, he freezes an entire town at the behest of the evil villain team, Team Plasma. So here we have an icy level with some ice climbers. And that is Kyurem. So I'm actually going to have to get 2 of those, because they can actually fuse in this game with either Reshiram or Zekrom to create white or black Kyurem. Anyway, next up we have Deirdre. Deirdre is actually the wife of Sigurd, the character we saw earlier. And as such, she is also the mother of Seliph, the protagonist of the second half of that Fire Emblem game. So yeah. She is quite integral to the genealogy of the Holy War. And here she is being played by a Palutena, which makes sense because she is a priestess, one of the cleric classes, designed to heal, but upon promoting can also use light magic to take down enemies. And my attack power is slowly decreasing, which is probably a testament to the fact that, you know, kind of like Sigurd, she gets very defensive over time. But instead of, you know, buffing herself, it's nerfing me. All to the same effect, but yeah. Anyway, time for a nice flood-related kill. I never pull those off. Oh, I'm so proud of that. I killed you with pure knockback and no actual physical damage there. Nice. That's what you get for being floaty. Alrighty, and, oh, hello. Yakuman player. That is a character from the Game Boy Mahjong game. And that's pretty much all that needs to be said. Here is Milotic, a water-type Pokemon introduced in Generation 3, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald. If I remember correctly, I think I used Milotic quite a bit in my Emerald LP, I think. And yeah, Milotic is something of a beast, kind of like Sigurd. It has very high defenses, so here's another battle where defense is being raised. However, you didn't account for me just cheesing it. Holy shit, I just absolutely bodied you there. Wow. Sucks to be you, Milotic. It evolves from Feebas, by the way, who is an ugly Magikarp. Anyway, more Pokemon! Lots of Pokemon today. Here is Giratina, the mascot of Pokemon Platinum, originally appearing in Diamond and Pearl of Gen 4. Giratina is an anti-matter Pokemon who exists in a place called the Distortion World, which is basically an alternate universe where all physics are messed up. A lot of people seem to incorrectly conflate him with Satan because he was banished by Arceus, the god Pokemon. But within all of the lore, he's more of an antimatter being. So yeah. Anyway, this screen flipping is really goddamn annoying. Oh, nope. Okay, don't need that. And yeah, you'll notice that we're actually battling on Spear Pillar with Dialga and Palkia, the Pokemon of time and space, making fairly regular appearances. That makes sense because they're all part of the same trio. And, oh god, I don't like how it flips there. That is really, really disorienting. God damn it! Of all the Pokemon, of all the spirits. Alright, let's try that again. Thankfully, I've accrued a lot of SP in this. And that is Giratina. Ooh, it's level 3 and it can be enhanced into a level 4. Alright, so, next enemy is Specknose. Specknose is one of the trash mobs from Kid Icarus. When you enter a room full of Specknoses, they all swarm you, so take them all out or get away from the swarm. Pretty simple, really. To represent them, we have a bunch of Warios, all bearing the trans flag colours. I approve. And, yeah, the reason they've chosen Wario is because Wario is well known for his big pink nose. His nose which gets quite a lot of play in the WarioWare games. And there we are. That is Specknose. Thankfully, they didn't find a way of representing those horrible tendrils, which I can only assume are untrimmed nose hairs. Gross. Here is F-Type. F-Type is one of the vehicles you can use in the game Stunt Race FX, which only recently was given out to everyone with a Nintendo Switch Online subscription through the SNES emulator. So that's nice. By the by, one thing I am actually doing right now, hence why I'm faffing around in menus, is I am actually trying to find a spirit that can be played by Marth. Because Marth's a really good character, and yeah, it would be a shame not to use him in the campaign. So I actually need to find someone using a sword, ideally, who can fill that Marth-shaped void in my heart. Also, that was a very easy win, because any level where you can actually run off the edges, it's very easy to just throw your opponents off those edges, even at low percentages. It's why I cannot abide by those levels online. Anyway, this is Solidus Snake. Solidus Snake is the main antagonist of Metal Gear Solid 2, and one of the clones of Big Boss, much like Super Smash Bros. Normal-ass Solid Snake himself. Incidentally, Solid Snake is also the 43rd US president, the adoptive father of Raiden, who is Metal Gear Solid 2's main protagonist, and he's also... Oh god, he's quite a lot of things, actually. Solid just gets around. He's also the guy who comes at you with a goddamn enhanced mech suit at the end of that game in order to fuck you up. So yeah. Hence why we had a snake with a beam sword. And that is Solidus. He went down fairly easily, which is good. And there he is. Only a 2-star, which is interesting for a final boss, but there you go. And, oh, incidentally, here's Rosemary. This is actually Raiden's partner, who started off as a spy for the Patriots, which is kind of like Metal Gear's interpretation of the Illuminati. If I remember correctly... Oh god, this level. Yeah, Rosemary lies to Raiden about miscarrying their son and breaks up with him in order to keep him safe from the Patriots. And this room is meant to represent like a child's playroom. That's really fucked up, game. Jesus. That's horrible. Metal Gear goes to some dark places. And that's not even the worst Metal Gear spirit. We'll get to that later. Anyway, back to Pokemon, because I'm just obsessed with Pokemon today. Smeargle! Introduced in Gen 2, Smeargle is able to learn any move in the game by painting its opponents using those moves. This means that depending on the circumstances, Smeargle could be really broken, because he can learn the move Spore, which automatically puts opponents to sleep and cannot be dodged, Belly Drum, which slices his HP in half while maximizing his attack power, which doesn't really matter if your health's been halved if your opponent is sleeping. And then you can use Baton Pass to give all of that power to fucking anybody. So you can end up with, I don't know, an unkillable goddamn Groudon. Smeargle was banned in a lot of different contexts. And another Pokemon! Again, I'm not doing this on purpose, they're just what came up. This is Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee was one of the OGs, one of the original 151 Pokemon. He's a fighting type, who is a counterpart to the Pokemon Hitmonchan. You'd think with the names Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan that they are based on, you know, Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, which arguably is the case in the West, but in the original Japanese, he's actually based on a famous Japanese kickboxer. So yeah. And, now he's mine. Now he's my best friend forever. Oh, and if you want to know what he actually is, I haven't the foggiest. Some kind of goblin. Anyway, fusion time. By combining Solid Snake with Rosemary, which, you know, makes sense because Raiden. Then a bunch of attack cores. I just refought that Hitmonlee a bunch of times in order to take a bunch of those. And a neutral core. Actually, you know what? Not Hitmonlee, Cammy. I'm not using you anymore. And neutral, we have Eevee. There you go. With all of that, we mash it together. So we end up with none other than everybody's favourite cyborg ninja, as of Metal Gear Solid 4, and later his own spin-off, Metal Gear Revengeance. We have Raiden, who is a boss motherfucker. I'm really sad he's not actually in Smash, but guess what? He got into PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, so, you know, at least we have that. Anyway, as I said before, Reshiram and Kyurem can combine to create White Kyurem. You'll notice that star-wise, it doesn't actually increase, it doesn't get more powerful. It does make sense, because White Kyurem is not that much more powerful than just normal Reshiram. Anyway, see you soon.